Hi everyone, welcome to our channel. I'm Shanta Grimes and this is Ninja Writers. I'm going live today just because I've been working on these projects and I wanted to share them, and I honestly just didn't have time. Been putting it off and putting it off, so I didn't have time to do all the editing and all of that goes along with a recorded video. So I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna go live, and look, there's someone here. I'm so excited. I am doing this all by myself for the very first time. So I am going to do my best to keep track of the chat, although I'm going to have to look at my phone to do that, which I'm also recording on. So if I mess it up, I hope you'll forgive me. I'm still learning this whole YouTube thing, but I'm really glad you're here. I've been doing a few things lately that I'm really excited about. One is I ordered some eco-printed paper off Etsy from a woman named Rosemary, who her shop name is the Rusty Peacock. I'll put that in the description when we're done here. But it was so gorgeous and I wanted to make my own. So I did some research, and the last few weeks, I have been experimenting with eco printing and eco dyeing paper, which is basically either dyeing paper with natural dyes, so generally made out of food, or printing it, which is layering paper with flowers and leaves, and then boiling them. So sometimes it's also called a boiled book. My fingers may never forgive me. I feel like I'm going to have gangrenous looking fingers for the rest of my life, but that's okay because I am having a lot of fun. So last night I went out in my yard. My husband and I are having like a no spend month, just as an experiment. So the first time I tried this, I went to Aldi's and I bought some red roses because they were like $3.99 for a bundle of them. And and some other flowers. So I bought flowers and then I made it was winter and there was like literally nothing growing in my yard. And so I went and bought stuff because I didn't want to wait, and I printed it. I'm going to show you some of that. But yesterday I really wanted to do it again. And I went out in my yard, and all that was really blooming were some teeny weeny, little bitty purple flowers all over my front yard. I have no idea what they are. I have these ginormous bushes. They're like 6 feet tall in my front yard as well. And they were covered in these pretty yellow flowers, like delicate little flowers. If anyone might know what that is, you should leave it in the chat so that I can know. I have no idea. And I had a few daffodils left. I wish I had picked them a couple of days earlier because they were mostly white this time. Somebody on Facebook says that's what it looks like. Her fingers look like this when she refills her pens, and it does go away. So that's good to know. And I also, anyway, so I died. I tried, and then my husband, as I was putting my papers together, was eating an orange. So I stuck his orange peel in there. And in the end, I ended up really liking what I came up with. So I'm going to share it with you. I also made some blueberry dyed paper yesterday. So let me see here. This is kind of upside down. So I dyed it. Like, this is just a manila folder. You can see that the daffodils, can you see the daffodil there? It was on top here. And then these are those teensy purple flower. Oh no, I think this was a thing from one of my trees is starting to bloom, and all of the buds were closed, but I put it on there anyway. And I'm really glad I did because it ended up looking really pretty. And then those are my little bitty purple flowers, and they turned out perfect. So this is the outside of this folder, and then here's the inside. Look at how cool that is. Can you see it? Isn't that cool? So this is where I put the flowers, and then look at how cool those little purple ones turned out, like a total perfect print. And then it was folded over. So this is the imprint of these flowers. And then there's the back side of that. Pretty. Okay, so I also printed some. I always do 5x. These are a tiny bit wet still. This time I have in the past, when I first tried it, I dried these in the oven. This time I am drying them in just in the sun. It's taking a lot longer. I did this last night. These are still damp. But they are drying so much straighter and they're not as dry, if that makes sense. Like they don't feel so brittle. So I'm happy with that. But anyway, here are my 5x8 cards. Look how cool that is. The orange peel did not show up, but I feel like it did kind of inform the colors. And around the edges, there's some kind of like mild orange. And I think that that's probably from the orange peels. This one got a hole in it. So pretty. Hi, Priscilla. I don't know, Facebook user. I don't know who you are because you didn't put your name in. But she asked if I could use pressed flowers. I think you can if they still have pigment. So what's happening here is that I boiled these for about 45 minutes. I layered them, then I tied them with string into a pack. And then I put them in a pan that I only use for this. So I went to a thrift store and bought a pan just to use just for this because you're not going to want to eat off that, cook food in the pan after that. And I cooked them in alum, vinegar, salt, and water. So I just filled it with water and put some alum, vinegar, and salt in there. The alum, vinegar, and salt are mordants and they help the dye to set. Kind of think of Easter eggs, right? When you put vinegar or salt in your Easter egg dye. Oh, it's Cindy Geddes. Hi. My goodness, I haven't spoken to you in forever and ever. It's so good to see you. Anyway, I totally just I got so distracted by seeing Cindy Geddes' name that I lost my train of thought. But anyway, okay, I know what I was saying about the pressed flowers. So what happens is the boiling pulls the pigment out of the flowers onto the paper. So if your pressed flowers still have some pigment, I think it might work. If they're pretty dry, there might not be enough pigment in them to go through. So like it might have already, how when you press something like a flower, it leaves the imprint on the page. It might have already left a lot of its pigment. So, but that's what this is, the pigment from the flowers. I just really love how these little baby purple flowers just totally showed up. And then I also had some blueberries that were about to go bad in my fridge. So I boiled them with a little bit of water and made some, well, that's how you make blueberry juice. So I actually just made blueberry juice, but then I dyed some with this and then also coffee. And there was a little crossover where things got laid on top of each other, but I thought it looked pretty cool. And then I have some like vinyl lace placemats that I layered on top and it left like an imprint of the lace. Isn't that pretty? So these are blueberry eco dyed with blueberry. So these are not printed because I didn't press them. They weren't boiled. I just dipped them in a pan of blueberry juice. I like that. And you can see like where there's little bits of the skin still because the berries I can't. Oh, there's the imprint of my paper towels. That turned out really cool. You can't strain the blueberries, at least not with what I have like normal stuff at home, enough to make it totally smooth. So there's a little bits of the skin in there, but I like it because it leaves these darker spots, and I think it's cool. There's one where like the coffee that I put on top of it left, but it has a really good imprint of the lace. Here's another one. Yeah, so I just made a bunch of these. I like this size because they're easy to work with and they're heavy enough. Like they hold up really well. I liked how that one turned out with the coffee and the blueberry. So there's that. I'm still trying to figure out coffee dyeing because when I see other people's, it looks really, really pretty. And mine always tend to look, it's not that it's not pretty. It just doesn't look very like it's stained. It's like old, the point is to make it look old, and mine always end up looking like they've been dipped in coffee. Anyway, here's the other folder I made yesterday. It's I think it's pretty. And then these are sketchbook pages. I just got, whenever I see a sketchbook at the thrift store, I pick it up. So I have a couple that I've bought for like 79 cents or so, 89, 99 cents. And I used that paper. This is more delicate because it's much thinner. So you can see like the string that I tied with went through this one a little, but that's okay. So these are, can you guys see that okay? These are, I love the blue too. It's so bright. I love how these just looked so delicate and kind of springish to me. I thought they turned out really pretty. Here's another blueberry dyed one. This one is a sketch page that I blueberry dyed. You can really see this is actually the imprint of my paper towels. And these are, see, this is the coffee dyed, and it doesn't look like someone spilled coffee on it. It just looks like I dipped the page in coffee, and I'm still figuring that one out. Oh, this one I did dry a little bit in the oven because I wanted to show you when you put it on a rack in the oven, it makes lines. And I've seen people do like on a pizza pan that has circles and it looks like polka dotted paper. It's kind of cool. Okay, so I don't want to go spend too much time on here. Oh, look at, see this one I just set on top of my oven while it was on and I was drying other stuff. And it left an imprint of my gas burner. It wasn't on, of course I didn't put the paper on. Hi Priscilla. On you know, on a hot burner, and then the oven was only on like 200, so it was never in any danger of catching fire. In fact, it's not even dry all the way yet, but I thought that was cool that it left that imprint. And then there's the, you can really see the lace on this one. I dyed these and then put the placemat on top and then spooned some more juice on top to really get the imprint there. So I'm learning. This one, a lot of the juice got pulled off by the paper towels, which made me sad at first, but then I thought it looks kind of cool. And this one I did the first time I did it, and I wanted to show it to you because this is cabbage, red cabbage. It's not showing up on here very well, the colors, but this is bright, like turquoise green. And what happened is my younger daughter, Ruby, and I were experimenting. So we did the cabbage. It was this, like, as you can imagine, dark purple, like red cabbage. And we put some vinegar and it turned like grape Kool-Aid purple. And then we added some baking soda and it turned like electric blue. And then we dyed the paper in the blue and it turned this turquoise color. So that was a lot of fun. Your daughter would love this, I bet, Priscilla. The lace does look like snowflakes on some of them. The other thing I wanted to show you is that I have used coffee filters to soak up some of the extra dye. These are super neat. And coffee filters are kind of deceptive. They look real delicate, but they're super tough because they're designed to, you know, spend a lot of time in water and not fall apart. So you can do a lot of fun things with these dyed coffee filters, and they end up looking kind of like tie-dye sometimes, which I think is cool. These are blackberry dyed, and that one really turned out good with the lace. These are blackberry, and then this was from the first set I did, and this was beet juice. So I had canned some beets last year, and I just opened a jar. We ate the beets, and I used the juice, like the pickling juice, to dye this paper. I put this in, and I was still learning how to dry stuff, and it burned the paper a little bit, got crispy, but it's still super pretty. I think that's beet juice. Isn't that pretty? This is the blackberry and blueberry got kind of mixed up. Ooh, look at that one. That one I just put the mat on there and sprayed through it without dyeing the paper first, and I really like how that turned out. Coffee filters are so fun, and they were super easy. And then these were my first eco-dyed or eco-printed ones. These turned out like artwork to me. I was so like, you should have heard me when I was unwrapping, because it's all in a bundle and it's soaking wet, and you have to peel them, and then there's like these cooked stuff on it, and you have to wipe that off. And so you don't really know what you've got until you're done. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I made that. These I used, this pink is red roses, and then I just smashed, I had blueberries left from making my first batch of blueberry dye, so I just smashed some on here, because if you just leave them whole, they'll roll off your paper, of course. So I just smashed them on there, and it just, oh, look how cool those are. Super cool. So that's those. Like, so I did, this is cardstock. These are heavier, although like I don't know. I think I'm getting better at it. These were oven dried, and they're not nearly, as you can see, they're wrinklier. They're not nearly as straight as the ones that I let air dry. How pretty is that though? I was very impressed with myself. I am not an artist. Both of my daughters are super talented artists. Like, I love this one. There was one blackberry on there, and it just made this like bright pink dot. And you could see like all the little sections, like little globules or whatever from the blackberry. Very, very cool. And this was one more folder. There's a big rose I put right in the front. And then there's my, these are earlier daffodils that were still real yellow. The ones I picked yesterday were mostly almost entirely white. Okay, so I just wanted to share that because I think you should try it if you want to do something fun. It's kind of meditative. It takes some time, and you have to stand there and wait for things to boil and stuff. And so what I have found is that sometimes while I'm doing all of that, my brain is like working on my story. So that's fun. Anyway, I've also been making some junk journals. I've always loved making books. If you go to my Etsy shop, which I link to, you'll see that, there's a bunch of journals in there. I've been selling them on Etsy for a long time, but I just started making these junk journals, and they're so fun, you guys. I'm going to share a couple with you. I really am going to go put Rosemary Morris's Etsy store, the Rusty Peacock. When I bought her eco dyed paper on a whim, she had this, she calls it a caboodle kit, and it's like all of the stuff that you need to make a junk journal, but like it's a ton of stuff. So you could probably make several junk journals with it. And then all month long, she does these Facebook or YouTube live videos where she uses the stuff to make, and you can just like make them along with her. And anyway, I bought it like on a whim, and it was so much fun. And that was the March one, which is this I made from. It was called Leather and Lace. And then I just ended up buying the next one, her next one too, which I'm going to share with you. It's, only the beginning of April, so I'm still working on it, but very fun. So this is the cover I made. And then, not pretty, like that came in my little kit from Rosemary. And then it's just these pages. This is 6x6, the pages. The cover's a little bigger. It's made out of a file folder. These are stitched. There's 2 signatures, and they're stitched in right into the cover. The binding here is leather, and I didn't want to stitch through it, so this has an invisible cover, which just means, can you see that paper there? That's just a piece of cardstock I painted with acrylic paint, and then I stitched my signatures right into there, and then I glued the signature onto the outside of the inside of the binding, so that I didn't have to pierce the binding, sew through the binding or the spine. This is a fun little corner tuck where you can, I can do some journaling there. These are vintage like court dockets that came in my kit. I made this little thing. That's some blueberry paper. This is from I have a bunch of vintage magazines. This was from a 1970s Saturday Evening Post. I really loved it. It's a unicorn. And then it opens this way, and then there's a little tuck there. That's some more of that painted paper that I made. That was a leaf that I just cut out from the eco printed paper I bought from Rosemary. I'm just going to flip through. Oh, they didn't turn out. I had never done this before, but it's like image transfer, and all I did was paint some Mod Podge on here, and then put a printed picture down, and then let it dry, and then you spray it with water, and you kind of rub the paper off. The pictures came in, it's just like a couple sheets of printed images that came with my kit from Rosemary. I think that they were printed on an inkjet. I think a laser printer probably does this better, but I didn't really care because I feel like they look very ghostly. I don't know if you can see, there's a woman right there looking out a window. And I thought, okay, so this journal is called Ghost of Bohemian Victoria. I I got these from an old garden catalog. Oh, there's Rosemary's eco printed paper. I'm still working on getting as good as her. May happen, may not. She has a class though in her Etsy store that I think I'm going to take. That one turned out better. There's some more from that garden magazine. That's just from some old magazine, but I thought it was a really cool image of that horse. That one turned out better. You can see the lady. This paper here is, it looks to me like, I think these are jelly painted, which means that she like rolled probably acrylic paint onto a jelly. I don't know how to call it. What it's just called a jelly. You can look up like on Amazon. You can buy them. It's like a square of like thick Jello stuff. But you can wash it and stuff. It's solid. It's not like goopy. And then you can rub paper over it, and it makes an imprint like that. And that's what I think that is. And it's deli paper, like wax paper. Then I just used acrylics on there. This is a piece of, this is Tim Holtz. This is so cool. You can get this at Michael's, but it's like a box, or not a box, like a package of like made to look like it's vintage. I mean, it's very vintagey looking, and it feels like wallpaper, but it's, it's not really vintage wallpaper, but it's cool. It's from Tim Holtz, and it's only like $7 for a big pack of it. Different kinds. There's some more of my messy acrylic painting. I'm really not much of an artist. This is just an old envelope, and so it's got a pocket up there. This is a page from Edith Holden's book. These are just some circles I cut out from, like punched, and then I Mod Podged them on there. There's a little more acrylic. Oh, I made this. I love it. It's like a little like notebook full of papers that so some magazine images I didn't end up using. Piece of scrapbook paper that matched the cover. This was packaging from some paintbrushes, and this little thing, I don't know what it is, but it came in my kit, so I just stuck it on there. But I thought that was neat. That goes. Well, now I lost my place, you guys. Where was it? Well, anyway, it goes in here somewhere. Oh, right here. This is just a little folder. Oh, so this is the center of the first thing, and I glued up the sides to make a pocket, and then I folded that one down because I really liked the image on the inside, and I didn't want to lose it entirely. So I'm just going to go quicker through here because this one I'm keeping, and I wanted to show you guys a few that I have put in my Etsy shop. Oh, so that's what the images look like that she sent. This one is the actual image, and I just stuck it in there. And I also used one to make this little pocket. I loved that lemon tree. There's another, like a cutout that came with that fake old wallpaper. And then I made this little ephemera folder. This is a Tim Holtz person. That's just what they're called, people. And they're just cutouts of like, looks like from probably an actual vintage photo. But I liked that. Looked like she was sitting on that rose. And then all I did here, this is just a piece of scrapbook paper that's got an accordion fold. And then on each of the accordion things, I glued something. This is Rosemary's eco dyed paper. This is just stuck in there. This is, I liked this. This is like a little journaling spot. I don't have anything in there, but this is a pocket made out of vintage playing cards. This is just a pretty doily. Anyway, and there's a little tuck spot there. So that, I don't know what I'm going to do with, but I stuck it in there because I want to try to fit it in somewhere. This is the second. That was like from a napkin, the second layer, and it's real faded, and I really liked it, so I just glued it on there. I used a file, like a nail file, to get some of that old, make it like old, I don't know, rub away some of that. Hope you guys can see this all right. This is just like a little shaker. I just had these leftover paper and I cut out dots of it. There's a vintage, I think she's sweet, a little vintage greeting card. It goes in that belly band. This is from one of my favorite children's books. It's called Donkey Donkey. So I put Donkey Donkey in my book. Oh, this one turned out the best of all of them I did. There's some more of her. Rosemary's eco printed paper is so pretty. This is where I was trying the image transfer with colored, like from a magazine. And I think that turned out cool. It didn't stick all over though. So I don't know what I did wrong. Something clearly. Okay. So there's another of hers. I'm dying to know what she did to make this orange. She told me that it's a secret, but that's all natural. So I'm thinking maybe carrots. I'm going to try it maybe with grated carrots and see if I can get a bright orange like that. So anyway, this one that I made. Oh, and here's another little ephemera folder that I made. This one was also made out of like a 12 by 12 piece of scrapbook paper. I took this picture. I have some 1950s McCall's magazine, and I found that little picture in there, and I thought that was cute. There's another vintage playing card in there. And then I just stuck little things in here. But I had this left over from cutting. I don't even remember what I cut out, but this was left, and it says Secret Dreams in Your Lovely Head. And I thought I have to do something with that. And so I glued it right there. This is a, in the middle here is a pocket. That's just a journaling card. And then more pockets here. This was, I had an image like from a book that was Charlie Harper made all of these eyeball, like it was like a chart for how a baby gets blue eyes. And so it just had sets of eyes, and that's one of them. So Charlie Harper painted that. He's one of my favorite artists. This is a belly band, so I could stick something in there. So that's that. Oh, and this is how I tied this. This is a piece, like a scrap from Acantha quilts and some sari ribbon, and I just strung that through there so I can tie this close because it's pretty chunky. I had so much fun with that one, and I'm still, noodling around with it. Her next one though is like a trash. She calls it a trash. Trashanichi, which is like a literal junk journal. So I wasn't going to buy it because I'm like, why do I want Rosemary Morris to send me a big envelope of her garbage? But then I watched her video where she was opening one of the packages, and I was like, damn it, now I got to do it because it looked so cool. So I am making an actual trashanichi, like a hobonichi, but out of trash. Like a real junk journal, like of actual junk. I made this one like a traveler's notebook. So it's strung with, elastic. So these are not sewn yet. They're just stuck under there because I'm still working on it. But, when I'm done working on like when I've got one journal done, I can take the whole thing out and put another one in there because it's just in here on this elastic. I made this out of a vintage, just an old game, like the inside of a game board. So it's not really the box, it's the insert, inside that all the pieces might be underneath. Strategio, like from the 60s. I got it I thought it's going to count for this because I got it at my local Goodwill, but they were going to throw it away because it was missing the pieces, and I told them I wanted it, and they gave it to me for $1. So I saved it from the junk. This is just a scrap of fabric that I had. And in here is another piece of this box. So it's, if you can imagine the bottom of the box, and then it has these sides, around the edge, and that's this. So that's the binding there. This one you can see I did bind right through the, I did stitch right through the binding. So because I was doing this elastic, and that's just how I know how to do that. So I've got 3 signatures in here, and they're literally made of garbage. So this is like an old, some of it she sent me, like she sent me this old, I don't know how old it is, but it's a discarded library book cover. She just sent me the cover. This is from a popcorn bag. This was the wrapping for something she must have bought, some craft supply. There's a beer box. There's the rest of that, some more of that popcorn boom chicka pop. This is just an envelope. So the popcorn, the beer, this came in my kit, and this. This is my eco-dyed paper. This is just from a paper bag, and then I folded it so you have some journaling space there, and then there's a pocket, and then you can journal there too. This is just don't ask me why Thomas Kincaid Studios sent me something in the mail, but they did, probably from my mother-in-law, and this was a return envelope. This is from a children's book. This was the wrapping for like a box of grapes. This came in my kit from Rosemary. There's some more of that paper bag. I cut the pieces smaller than I wanted, so I used a scrap of paper to glue two together. This is just, I was playing around with some watercolor paints, and I just stuck that in there. So that's that one. The rest is just the back side of all of that. This is the envelope that my whole kit, like a bunch of my stuff came in. This is a piece of a rice bag, and that's just a scrap of paper, you know, and this will unwind. Oh, this will unwind here, and then, you know, it's an actual pocket. There's some more where I was playing around with some watercolors. There's the rest of this book cover. There's more of it, and it's like a pocket. This is just a bag. This bag came in the kit from Rosemary. This is a scrap of lace, like from a tablecloth that I had bought at a thrift store and used for something else. And that was a scrap I had left over. I don't know where she got her hands on unused butter wrappers, but she sent me one. It's either unused, or I'm wondering if she didn't use it, like it wasn't her butter, that she cleaned the thing and then ironed it. I guess that's possible too. And there's some more of that rice pack. It's got a really cool, like kind of woven texture. There's some more paper bag. This is my blueberry dyed paper. More like another envelope. I'm going to paint these or something. That's why these are not sewn together. When I'm done here, I just made this out of a scrap of paper, and then it goes in here. This I will, but it'll be sewn into the center so that it can close and be still in the book. This will be sewn. These will have a pamphlet stitch here so that they stay together. But that's the second one. And then this one I loved because I bought these bags here at they're old flower bags. I got them, like 3 of them for $1 in the basement of the antique store that's across the street from my office. It was like in a dusty corner of the basement, and the lady sold me all 3 for $1. So I don't know if that counts as actual trash, but I don't know. I used one for the cover because it's cool. Since it's a bag, I have an opening, like a pocket on both sides. This is a piece from a children's book about the space that I probably would not have used because it's only words. There's no images. So I put a piece in there. This is just some slow stitching I did. Slow stitching is just like literally stitching by hand, kind of messy. And these were just scraps I had in my scrap pile. There's another one of those. This is my, this one I really loved because I found this piece of paper and I had stuck a daffodil in there, and then the paper didn't get boiled. But when I lifted the daffodil, it had imprinted anyway. This is what I was talking about, Cindy, if you're still there. Like if you press a flower, it leaves its pigment anyway. So like that flower would not have, probably if I put it in with my eco printing, it had already left its pigment here. I had to trim this was too big. I made it A5 and I actually needed it. This whole thing is a B6. So I needed to trim it, and I ended up losing this piece that where I had sewn or glued some fabric. So I just stuck that in here. And since it's like this, I can stick, like, let me show you. I can stick like a photo or something in there, and it'll make it in the book. So that's kind of cool. There's a scrap of leather, another piece of a book cover. And that's it. That's the rest of the, oh, this I liked because this is the bottom of the bag, and then it left like these little pockets here. So that's all that's in this one. And then I just used some leftover paper here, and then it made a little pocket. And I really like a traveler's notebook because I love this cover so much that when I'm done with the book, I'm not going to want to get rid of the book. I'm going to get rid of it. I do need to put these pictures back though. Now they're going to be in my way. One more thing I wanted to show you that I made, that this one is in my Etsy store. So now I think we're going to move into the stuff that I decided that I am going to sell, even though it's going to be really hard because I love these things so much, but I want to make more of them. And if I don't sell some, then I'm just going to get like overrun. So this is a altered file folder journal, and it's full of ephemera from those 1950s children's space books. And as I was putting this one together, this story emerged that is one of the main reasons why I wanted to do this live, so I could tell you the story, because it just doesn't translate as well in an Etsy listing. So this is just some ribbon that came around something that I bought, some fat quarters or something that I bought off Amazon, and they were tied with that. I thought it was really pretty. This is an image from that children's book. I think I'm going to have to tape that though. Maybe use some book tape. The book, it was pretty delicate and the pages are getting, this is just, I thought that looked like a kind of a Mars landscape. So as I was doing this, I got this story came to me of a girl who dreamed of taking like a mission to Mars. And so this was her like planning folio, and her friends thought she was kind of weird. Like you can see, like they're like, whatever. These are little paper dolls I cut out of an art magazine from, I think it was from 2008. I got it. We went to Buffalo, my girls and I, and we found this like, it's like an art store where it's like reclaimed stuff. So they had a lot of magazines and books, and I bought that there. And it was like used art supplies. It was very, very cool. But I bought that art book there, and or magazine, and it was from, I think, 2008, but I cut those girls out of there. Here is like a little journal card, but she just like did her studying. She did her learning. She knew what she wanted, you guys. She wanted to go to Mars, even though her friends thought she was a really weird and totally didn't get it. So I'm going to show you those in a minute. Here's some more. I think I'm going to tape this one as well, because normally I would glue it to like a piece of paper, but look at the back. I don't want to lose that. So I think I'm just going to, it won't be a journal page then, but I think I am just going to tape that, so because it's pretty delicate. And then there's a little journal card. You know, she would have taken her notes on these, done her studying, and got her passport in order, got her like little Lucky Charms. Here's her passport, you know. She just was ready to go, whether her parent or her friends thought it was a good idea or not. And also this slides right in there to hold that down. You know, whether her mother was going to miss her a lot. There she is when she was a little girl with her mama. It's a little notebook with cabbage dyed paper. She bought her ticket. She bought her ticket to Mars, you guys. And this was like her little planning folio. It's got all this cool stuff. This one is another one that, see, it's just not going to hold up. But I don't want to lose the back image, because look at that. How cool is that? So I think I'm going to tape these two bigger ones. And there's a vintage, like mid-century playing card. It's just a little card with a snippet on the front. But she's ready to fly, you guys. She's ready to just go. She's headed to Mars. Anyway, I thought that was cool. This is her journal, right? So there's some cards there. I love that turned into like a little library card. And then this is a belly band, just some leftover images that I had that I stuck in here. This is the middle of this pamphlet sewn thing that I made a pocket out of. Lots of place in here for journaling. And this is sewn right into this book with a pamphlet stitch. This is waxed linen. Anyway, that is my Mission to Mars ephemera folder. This is in my Etsy shop. I'm just going to say that if you like it and you think you might want it, you should go buy it before I change my mind, because I love it like so much. I can't stop looking at it. I think it's so cute. So there's the back, and it's got a couple more of these journal cards that are, the fronts are images from those children's books about space, and then they dyed them to eco-dyed paper. So that's the her Mission to Mars ephemera book. Then at the same antique store in the same basement, I found, oh no, that's not where I found this book. I did find one, but I'm not ready to share that one yet. But this one I got at a used bookstore in Jamestown. And it's a Better Homes and Gardens new cookbook in the 5-ring binder. I was really excited when I saw it because Gail Agostinelli or something like that, I'll share her YouTube channel in the chat as well. She did a whole thing where she made one out of the garden journal, or the garden book from Better Homes and Gardens. This is not the older one. This one is from the 70s. There's one from the 50s, but this is the one from 1976. And a story emerged as I was making this one too. And this one ended up being like a kitchen witch junk journal, and it is stuffed full of stuff. This one is in my Etsy shop as well. So I made this book page that is blackberry dyed. It ended up being too fragile to stand up here, so I used book tape, which is really, it's like packing tape, only stronger. And I put that here, and also acid free, you know, so it's not going to eat away at the paper. So I taped the front of it because I didn't want it to fall apart. You get some, these are 1970 tarot cards. There's a few of those in there. I just really liked this image. So then I was going to put paper on the inside, but I kind of liked the other side's image too. So I thought I would leave it blank so you could figure out what you wanted to do. There's some of my eco printed paper. It's a big rose and blueberry dyed paper. So those all just kind of tuck in the front. This is, there's a bunch of these in there. So these are little altered paperclip bookmarks. I don't know if you can see that. Did it? Yeah, it's got like a bead wired onto it. So there's a bunch of those in here you'll see. This is the cardboard that comes. I think it's supposed to keep the pages from rolling under. It came with the book. This is a library envelope that I got from a vintage book, and I saved the library card envelope, and then I just put this in there, and this is just a tag that's got this flippy floppy thing going on. I bought this like it's a kit, you know, where I printed the paper, and then I was going to coffee dye it, and I don't know, I messed it up because I still think it looks cool, but the coffee made the ink run really bad, and so it's grungier than I expected to be, but it ended up kind of cool because, I don't know if you can see that, but the ink left these kind of shadowy things. But these are not really vintage. They're just I still thought they were cool. This is from Artie Mays is the name of the Etsy store, and it's like food, like cookbook, I don't know. I will try to remember to link to that, but I thought that turned out cute, and I stuck that in there. Oh, so this goes, when I just pulled that off, I took it right off. So this actually goes on here. So if you were to put this, say, on a page, it would leave this, would be stuck on there. So this is just a little snippy thing. This is the original front cover of this book. So you can see right there, it says 1976. This is the fifth printing though, so it's 1978. Each section, then there's 18 sections. All the original ones are in the book. And what's in each section plus in the front here is a page from the original book, a page of eco dyed paper, a page from another vintage magazine or book. And then each divider has an eco printed pocket. And then there's most of the pockets have stuff in them. And then a lot of the pages have things like this. So this is just a little tuck that I made, but I didn't want to cover up this little piece of paper too much because look how pretty that one turned out. Can you see that? It turned out so pretty. I'm going to lift this because I really want you to see that. It turned out so pretty. This daisy like just printed directly onto it. And so I just made it a fold out rather than gluing it on. And it's a little corner tuck. You have another tarot card there. And then inside here. So this is what happened. I have these big box of these vintage handwritten recipes. And I tried to coffee dye them with the printed stuff that I had. And the black ink from the printed stuff ran. And these were in the bottom. So they got super grungy. I was like, oh no. But in the end, I decided to include them anyway because I think they're kind of cool. Like they look really old and witchy to me. So there's a bunch of these in here. It's tucked in these pockets. So here's another one. I loved this little card. Hi. And then I glued a piece of art there. And then there's the info about the art. This is one of those coffee filters. See, they're pretty tough. Like they look delicate, but they're pretty tough. There's some cabbage dyed paper. I just like that image. I thought it looked witchy. It's from a book about the West Coast, a vintage book about the West Coast, I think from the 70s. There's another one of those. That one's not as grungy as the first one. Let's see. I have this is like a 1950s Spanish flashcard. So you got the word life, la vida. I tucked that in there. What's in here? It's a little envelope that I glued into there. I loved this. It's like from a children's book about mushrooms. Oh, this is just a little page. I was testing out these stamps and using watercolor pages. I thought it ended up kind of pretty, so I just tucked that in there. I made this little thing that I loved. So it's a quote that I cut out of a 1970s Life magazine I love this magazine. It has Katharine Hepburn on the front. And this was a quote from her, me pose like a starlet, tell them this is all I'll do. And then I had all these leftover little dots from punching all of these pages and they looked like confetti, like a party. So this is like a window from a envelope, like an old envelope. And I just stuck that in there. And then I stuck this lady who's obviously not Katharine Hepburn, but she's in there too. So it's like a shaker. And then it fits right in here perfectly. Didn't that one turn out pretty? Oh, and then I made this, which is a little junk journal that really fits this theme. So you get that as well. So I'm going to flip through it really quick. These are images from an art book. There's one of my coffee filters. This is a page from the same literature book that this pocket in the front came from. This one was cabbage dyed. Some music. I just liked that little vintage kitchen. That looks like a kitchen with this dude. I don't know why there's a red snapper covered in kiwi, but I had to cut him out and stick him in there because what is happening? There's another one of those little cards. I think she's so cute. I got a whole bunch of these little bitty Hallmark cards at that same antique store for like 50 cents for a whole bag of them. There's another page from Donkey Donkey. And I made this little like kind of collaged let go of things journaling card, and this is the envelope that's hiding the stitching. and our pocket. And this came from that same art magazine that I got those little girl paper dolls out of. There's Donkey Donkey. This is, oh, I know. This is just a little piece of stationery that I had. I found this box, and that's not going to come up for me. Oh yeah, this box of stationery at my local Goodwill, and I thought it was so pretty with cats, so I stuck a little piece in there. It's like a little cat theme going on, which fits a kitchen witch to me. In the whole book, this is a little corner tuck. It's the rest of that envelope that the Katharine Hepburn quote was in. It's like a scrap from a children's book. I love that. What's in here? I remember. Oh, I know. I just had these little corners and I thought they were so pretty that I didn't want to throw them away. So I just glued them to this coffee dyed paper and stuck that in here. Little journal card. And then that tucks right in there. And that's that. So that, I'm not going to put it back in, but it goes into there or anywhere. You don't have to put it in there at all because this is a chunky book, you guys. There's some onion dyed paper. Yellow onion skins make really pretty paper. Just so you know, all you have to do is boil it for like an hour, maybe put a little vinegar in there. And then you can use what's left is dye, and you can use it to just dip paper in it, and it makes it really pretty. This is, I just glued a little doily and did a little collaging of those flowers on there. I did not do a lot of embellishment on these papers because they're so pretty that I didn't want to cover them up. This is just a piece of fabric that I folded over here and glued on. And that's just a little snippet tag. This is another piece of my eco printed paper. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? I love that this flower just showed up perfectly. There's one of Tim Holtz's people. Oh, I love this little lady. So I made this envelope. This is scrap paper, but the scrap paper pack that this came with had these little bitty 2x3 cards. There's 6 of them. And I put them in here and I thought, oh, the kitchen witch who buys this could write her spells or her intentions or her wishes on here, and then this little lady here is going to keep them safe and possibly make them happen. Here's another embellished paper clip that it's just stuck onto this kind of that's a coffee filter, but look how pretty. This is going to make the thing that was stuck on the end come off, but that's okay. Look how perfect that flower came out. I'm going to stick that back on. Oh, so you can see on here, it's got a paper, and then the clip is just stuck as in the paper, and then it also sticks on there. And then all through, there's some of these vintage recipe cards. They're just stuck in there. I love this. She looks like she's sliding down this belly band, and this whole thing is a belly band. Like you can get behind her and stick something there. This is a little flip out. I put a little made a little pocket out of that card, and there's a ticket in there and just a piece of, that's a little journaling card. Here is another vintage playing card, but this one I backed so you can use that for a journal. It sticks in there. Oh, what's in here? Oh, I love this, and made another little notebook. So this one's got this kind of teacup, and then it's backed with some of that Tim Holtz wallpaper, and it has some eco printed paper in it, and that slides right in there. Grunge is good, Priscilla says. Thank you. There's some blueberry dyed paper and another tarot card. That one, it's just, I didn't want to glue any of the tarot cards in there because I want you to be able to do, if you buy this, to be able to do what you want with it. So this one, don't forget, is in my Etsy store for sale. This one is super grungy, but that's okay. I actually ended up really liking how they looked grungy, even if it was grungier than I expected. There's just a little cluster that goes in this pocket there. I liked that because it looks like the fairies are holding up the sun. So I cut this moon and sun out from a children's book, probably that same one about space. And I tucked that in there because it looked like the fairies were holding up the sun. There's another piece of onion dyed paper, another tag. This one has a tuck in it. This is like one of Tim Holtz's strips of people pictures. Those are super cool. Tim Holtz has some really cool stuff. Some of it I'm not super into, but some of the people stuff and those wallpapers are like amazing. This one is one of my favorite papers I've made because I dyed it with blackberries, and then totally on accident I put a piece of blueberry dyed paper on top and with my lace, like vinyl lace placemat between, and it made this, and I think it's awesome. This one is one of my favorites because it's got a secret. So it goes like that. And here there's a little envelope with just this piece of eco dyed paper or printed paper, and the doily is glued on there. But if you take out, so like if it's together, you know, you'd think that's the whole thing. And then this is a little with special thoughts and best wishes card. And then it's got a secret compartment, and you can really keep your deepest secrets in there. I just have a little cluster in there with another one of those vintage Spanish flashcards. This one is for the word wind, el viento, and that's tucked in there, but you could stick your secrets in there and nobody would know. And that kind of locks it in place. And I thought that's one of my favorite parts of this book. I am easily amused. There's a little kitty with this eco printed paper on the back. Another grungy recipe card. These might be fun, these recipe cards, to like glue some other paper to the front of and like write your, I don't know, your kitchen witch stuff on. There's just a little cluster with another lady from Tim Holtz. And this, I think this purple and gold paper is from Amy Tangerine. It fit in here so well. There's little snips of it everywhere. And this is one of his wallpaper flower, like fussy cut flowers. Oh, see, there's another piece of that Amy Tangerine paper that's just in this little envelope that tucks in there. This one doesn't have anything in it. There's a few that don't have anything. Basically, this book got so full. There's the other half of this paper. I gave you both halves. This is just a little pocket that I made with two of these cards, and then I don't know why, but these parrot and the pears, the colors matched up, and it tickled me, so I stuck them in there as a hold for that. What's this? This is Fantasy Fudge, grungy Fantasy Fudge recipe. More onion paper. There's another Spanish language thing, and it makes a little pocket to be. And then this is like another tuck here, a corner tuck. Can you see that? A little corner tuck, and then the main envelope. This is another little collaged journaling card I made for you. Breathe easy. I love that. I don't know, those of you who've read any of my books, there's a bulldog named Mango in my first published book. So he made me think of Mango, and I gave him a little butterfly on his nose. So he goes in there. There's another one. I love this one. Another one of these really, this one is so pretty. It's like turquoise, and it has a crystal in it. And then it's just attached, it comes off, but it's attached to this cluster. I don't know if I can do this blind. Hold on. There we go. And then another one of those. A couple of little tags that I made. This onion paper, I glued a little strip to make it a holding. Here's a little corner tuck I made with or pocket that I made from a coffee filter that's eco dyed, and you just have a card in there. This is another little vintage card with warmest wishes. So some of these little cards, I thought to myself, these are like my wishes for you. This is a 3-layer tuck. So you've got this front layer because it's folded in half, this back layer, and then the very back layer. Another grungy. Ooh, that one is super grungy. So like grunge. I love this little guy. Can you see him? I don't know if you can see him. Let's see if I can lift it up. He's like I had this little strip left of some, I don't even know why it was in my scrap pile, but I loved that he's like peeking here. So I just stuck him there on some cabbage dyed paper, and he just slides there a little. So you're familiar. There's some more of that blueberry and blackberry dyed paper. Another envelope or another thing. This one is like a little does it? I just made it fall off. No, it doesn't have the paper, but it's got an elephant bead that I thought was really cool. Let's see what else is here. There's some cabbage dyed paper. This one is like it looks like turquoise. Since I got these beads at Michael's and they weren't that expensive, I'm going to guess it's not actually turquoise, but it is a stone. So maybe it's turquoise. I would have thought turquoise would be more expensive than that, but who knows? Maybe not. Let's see if I can get this back on. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But I feel like it might be some other stone that looks like turquoise. That's my gut feeling. There is a little folder. This poor folder was so light and bright, and it was at the bottom of my coffee dye and got all of the black ink. But the butterfly stayed. Can you see that? The butterfly stayed. So I don't know, I went with it. It matches the theme. There's some blueberry dyed paper. You can still kind of see the girl here, and then it says Birdie Darling. This was like so bright and light, and it yikes. Here's an envelope I made. This is the inside of one of those cards. Coming with this gift is a special wish for you, and this is my wish for you. Hope you do the things you like and like the things you do. And there's another tarot card tucked away in there. I swear you're going to be finding like little hidden things in here forever. We are getting close to the end, you guys, I promise, of this book. There's another recipe card and just a whole piece of that stationery with the cats. I thought was really cute. This is I wanted this to be like a folder, but the fabric, I don't know, it's not sturdy enough. What you could do, and what I probably will do, is include like a clip or something. You know, now you could slide something under there, and you'd have to hold it in place though. This one's got all kinds of pockets. This is a tag. So here's a coffee filter folder. I just stuck some kind of cotton paper in there that I thought was really pretty, and it got a little of the beat dye on it. There's another one of these cards. This one is Alive, Living, Viva. And one more. This is just the front of one of those cards. I think on that envelope was the back of that. And another one of these that just the daisy printed so perfect. I was very pleased with myself on those daisies. And then here is another piece of that Amy tangerine paper, just because I think it works in here so well and it's so pretty. Almost done. This is just a piece of scrapbook paper, but I really loved the color. So it's folded. You could do a lot of journaling in here. This is just a journal card, but I glued some more of those dots from poking all the holes in there. And then one more recipe card. Another tuck there. There's just a vintage card, and here's a little cluster in this tuck or pocket. This one's less grungy, and it's kind of cool because I don't know what this is. Can you see that? It says like renewal date, business box, personal box. It looks like a post office form of some kind that someone cut, like used for a recipe. So I thought that was kind of cool. And there's some more eco printed paper. I really love this one. And here's another one of these poor folders that turned out completely black, but I don't know, in like the best grungy way. This little card has more of that Charlie Harper art on it. So I see how you can see like these two grandparents made this brown-eyed child, and then they married someone with blue eyes, and it goes all the way down to this blue-eyed baby right here. But the pictures were only the eyes like this, and then there's some more of them. And they're all different ages. My daughter loved this one, though, because she's like, that's how I got my brown eyes, because I have brown eyes and my husband has blue eyes, and then our daughter has brown eyes. So that's in this little tuck up here. And then this goes in this little fabric pocket. There's some blackberry and blueberry. No, yeah, blackberry and blueberry dyed paper. You have a vintage math card. I feel like 9s are a lucky number, so I put that one in there. And then this is a little coin envelope, and I gave you a 100 colones coin from my trip to Costa Rica to visit my best friend from like we met when we were 6, so forever and ever. And she's Costa Rican, and she has lived in Costa Rica since we were in high school. But I got to go visit her in January 2020, and I have some coins, and I just put one in that coin envelope as like a lucky charm. And then this is the back. I lined it with the coffee filters, and then this piece of lace, like of a lace tablecloth. This is a this was what kind of paper? Oh, vellum that I was trying out some doing some printing, so like painting, and then seeing what I could pick up with here. And I ended up really liking that, but I liked the back side of it better, because the outside, it just feels kind of weird. Not weird, but just, I don't know. I liked how this looked through the vellum. So there's that. And then I've got, these are journal cards. So they're like vintage images that I thought were really cool. And then I made them into journal cards for you, and you get those. They're in this envelope in the back. Oh yeah, I love this too. Oh, come on in. I love this one too. So this is another journaling card that I made out of this is the envelope is like another envelope with a big window, and then it's backed with that's the coffee dyed paper, but it's got all these colors from the ink that ran. So that one turned out really cool. And then this is just some cloud images, a little bird, a little doily, and then it has this journaling space back here. And I loved how that turned out. I think it's super pretty. That tucks right in. I made this folder out of, or this pocket out of eco printed folder that I made. So it's a rose and a daisy, or a, I don't know if it's a daisy or what. And then here's a little secret tuck spot with a journaling card. And that, my friends, is that. So those are this one's in my Etsy store right now. And then I also have these. So I made one of these for myself. Of course, I'm not going to be able to find it right now. Are you kidding me? Yeah, I can't find it right now. I made one of these for myself with some of the images from the books that I bought when I was in Buffalo with my daughters. And what I was doing was processing the book. So I was taking out the pictures I wanted and cutting them to the right size. And because otherwise it's just so bulky, I can't keep all of those, the whole book. So I just take out the pictures. And I just think of it as processing. And as I was doing it, I was keeping out like my favorite. I really wish I could find, what did I do with? Well, I've got one that I made for myself. But anyway, I just saved one, like a page from each book that I wanted to make a journal for myself with. But I liked it so much that I just kept making them with the same pages from the same books. And I ended up with 7 of them. And I was like, well, I don't need 7. So I put 6 of them are in my Etsy store right now. So the cover is from a book that's called Aviary Wonders, Inc. spring catalog instruction guide or something. It's an illustrated book. I don't know if it's for children or not, but it's so cute. It's got these illustrations that are like pieces for, like, if you were putting together a bird, you would buy like their wings and their streamers for added grace and whatever. So each cover, so they're like a series. So the covers are all from here, from that same book. And then there's a page from a vintage, like a 1970s, 60s craft book that I got at that art store that I was telling you about. Isn't that cute? And this is from a book about vision from the 50s, just a piece of graph paper. This is an image from National Geographic. You know what? This one is mine. Is this one mine? Yeah, this is the one I made for myself because I have the zebra. So that's why I can't find it, because, you know, this is it. But I am missing one. So the other one, there's 6 of them in the store, and one of them I don't have here on my desk, but that's okay. So here's a image from, or a page from a book called Little House, a children's book. It's originally from the 40s. I think this is a reprint from the 70s. So, and I turned that one into a little pocket. This is a children's book called Katie Kangaroo. Look at that. Isn't that cute? On my back, of course. This is from a book about space, a children's book about space. That I showed you other things that, like, I made that ephemera folder out of. This is a book called Robins and Rabbits, and it has the most beautiful watercolor in there. And I don't know, I really like this spider. She reminded me of Charlotte from Charlotte's Web and her baby. So I stuck that one in here. Each book has a page from all of these books. So the exact same book, not the exact same pages, but pages from the exact same books are in all of these. Each one has a like a front, you know, this is like the page that's in the front of a book that's just plain, but often they're pretty colors. This is from a so the first one is from a National Geographic magazine, and this is from a National Geographic book. But I like this, like I did it like a fold out, because these are like big redwood trees. And each one has a piece of eco-printed paper. This one is cabbage. And a page from like a historical book. This is Italy, I think. And a page from a vintage cookbook. And from 19... I want to say this was, oh no, this is from like a early 2000s, This Old House magazine. I bought a whole stack of them for like $3 at the antique store across from my office. So this one was not from Buffalo, but this one was. Was a children's book about the sun. And this is just a piece of music. And another, this was the front, what do you call that? The front piece from that book about space. Isn't that cool? And a piece of ledger paper. This is a this is a book that was called like Backrobes America, and it was a cookbook. Massive. This is maybe half of, like, so this is folded in half, and it's like half of the size of, like, who could cook from a book that size? I have no idea, but it had the most gorgeous pictures in it, and it was $1. So I bought it, but man, the pictures were like massive. I don't even know how anyone could cook from that. This was a page from like a 1970s DIY like encyclopedia. I bought the whole set. Each book was 50 cents, and it had these, and I loved how they were like monocolor but pink, and some were blue or yellow. And this was from a book that I got at that bookstore in Jamestown on their dollar rack. And it was like a huge book about wooden furniture from the 1800s. And this is just a piece. I was playing around with inks, and that's on coffee dyed paper. So I just stuck a piece in there. And then this was a book I got at the same bookstore in Jamestown where I got this cookbook and that book about furniture. And this one was I'm like hoarding this paper because it's so pretty that I ended up cutting them in half because I didn't want to waste them. Because there's a pretty big book, but this is a page from a book about Art Deco designs. And then this was a page from a book about dinosaurs. Mine ended up in the center here, and then I turned it into a pocket. Now this middle of this page and the spine and the edges, I reinforced with book tape because I did this like a traveler's notebook. So I put a piece of elastic on here, and as you can see, it was like, I don't know if you can see, but it was starting to dig in. The paper, this is pretty sturdy paper, but it would have been fine if I had just stitched it, but with the elastic it was like digging in, and I didn't want it to do that, so I reinforced all the edges with paper. So this one is mine. It's not in the store, but there is bodies, legs and feet, just legs, beaks, and this one is called gull because I don't know if you can see that, but that's a gull wing on the front. And they all have these, like the pocket in the middle, although all of these pockets, because the book page here from National Geographic is just writing on the inside, so I thought that was a good one to use for the middle. So all of these have that in the middle. And then they have the pages from the same books. Like there's the Art Deco page and the little house. And this book about space is relatively like pretty delicate as well. You can see it's got age, the color is aged, and it was dried out. And I really wanted to use these images because just, of course I did. So I reinforced the fold of these with that book tape too, because I didn't want it to go through. I didn't want it to tear. So these are in my Etsy store. There's one more that I don't have at my desk, and I'm not going to go looking for it at the moment. I have no idea. It's on my bed somewhere. And then each one of these, when you buy one, it comes with, I had the most fun putting these together. I made these envelopes these are out of a book page about Tennessee, but it had these great vintage images of farming in Tennessee. So I picked 6 and I made these envelopes, and then I didn't want to glue them closed, so I just made a little tuck on it so that out of scraps so that it could stay closed. And then there's all of this stuff to play with in your journal. Everybody gets they all have the same, like I had them laid out, and if I put something in one, they all got it. So everybody gets one of these playing cards, and everybody gets one of these cool playing cards, and everybody gets an image about this size of that I saved. I save all of these. Like I have a whole, where is my file? I have a whole file box. Oh, here it is. A whole box full of these images that I've saved because I think, like, there's Winston Churchill when he was a kid. Like, have you ever? Look at his little hat. He's like a grinder monkey boy. Anyway, I just save all these images that are about 4x6 or about the right size to make journal cards out of for my books. And so I put one of those in each person's. Everybody got a Tim Holtz person. And then there's some book page. Oh, there's another. Everybody got more than one of these journaling cards. Like you could back them. They have really cool images on both sides though, so I didn't do that for you. This is a page from 1940s gardening book called Women's Home Companion Garden Book, and I just gave everyone a page from that. A little scrap of this really cool tissue paper, some vintage wallpaper. This is just a piece from some sort of a journal. Yeah, I like how this edge looks. I think you can do something with that. And then there's some more book pages in here. So everybody got a page from this book. And, oh, this is that space book. Everybody got a page from that. There's a piece of vintage pattern paper. Oh, look at this book. Teenage Etiquette from 1954, I think. Will you lead? Anyway, everybody got one of those because hello. And I got a whole big roll of these tickets. I don't know how old they are. It says Indiana ticket. They look vintage to me. They're a really cool ephemera either way. I couldn't decide if they were actually vintage or not, but everybody got a strip of 3 of those, a paper doily. This is from a game called Funny Bones. I just love that. You could, you know, you can do something. This would also make a cool writing board. Like if you have a lot of stuff in your journal and you want to write and have it be smoother, you can just stick that in there and then you can write on it. So that would be a good use for that if you wanted. Oh, everybody got a page from a 1950s McCall's magazine. Look how fun that is. Oh, what does it say? Often a bridesmaid, but never a bride because she has bad breath. It's a Listerine ad. Oh my goodness. Anyway, look at those faces. That's working girl Virginia Hunt. Anyway, so everybody got a page from that, a little piece of sari silk. I don't know if that's silk. Might be. A vintage, one of those vintage Hallmark cards, a little scrap of onion paper. Oh, this was a journal card from one of Tim Holt's scrapbook page. I don't know if it's Tim Holt's. It's from a scrapbook pad though, and I just it had 6 journal cards, so I cut them out and put one in. Everybody's a scrap of ledger paper. This is like the kind of paper that a teacher would write the kid's name on and tape it, and it's dry erase, which I think is kind of cool. I have this stamp that makes a Kodachrome slide, so I gave you guys I stamped a page for you. This is from a book about dried flowers. Everybody has a page of that. A to-do list index card. Ooh, and I made you guys one of these flippy things. So every one of these has one of these flippy tags in the envelope. And you got better ephemera in yours than I think cool ephemera. You have a little Tim Holtz child. So each one has a kid in there. And there's a little piece of that doily, paper doily. This has I just thought that was really pretty. It's just a scrap from a children's book and a scrap from an art book. This has a ticket, another ticket in there, and just another piece of scrap of paper scrap. You could use these to make like a cluster. Then they each have a pocket on the inside that's made out of another one of these playing cards. So the blue one is loose. The orange one is inside everybody's thing. And then you have 2 of these Spanish flashcards tucked in there. Everybody has 2 of those. These are so cute. Isn't that cute? I learned how to do this on Gail's Gail Agostinelli or something like that on her YouTube channel. She's so much fun. Her voice is just so sweet that I love checking her out. And then some of these I did some different things in the back. Not all of the backs are exactly the same. This one I did a little fold out, and then there's a couple of little things tucked in there. The backs are not all exactly the same, but the fronts are, and what's inside the front part is the same in all of these. So I am going to just stack this up and repack it off camera because it's like a lot. This envelope was completely, each of these envelopes are totally stuffed. And so the reason I'm giving you guys all of this is so that when you buy one of these is so that you can start journaling with them or just doing fun, like arty stuff. And I wanted to show you last thing, I think, one of mine. So this is one of my junk journals. I have one, but I should have pulled it out. And now I don't know where it is right off the top of my head. But I have like an altered book that has 4 of these in it. That I actually am really using as but this is one I made, and then I did do a little embellishment in here, so I'll show you. So this was the cover of a National Geographic book called Adventures in Faraway Lands. I thought her little face was so sweet. and then I just glued on. All you need is a little imagination. This way I gessoed, and then I did some watercolor, but the water brought up some of the gesso, but I thought that looked really cool and it crackled it. This is an image from one of those McCall's magazines. And so you can see like this came, like I made it and this is called a naked journal, right? There's nothing in it. And then I did this like art, glued. I end up using these as glue books a lot, but I also often like to, this was a illustrated fairy tale book. The pages were too small and I didn't want to fold them. So I think of this as like a Band-Aid for paper. It's just more paper that I glued on so that I could have a spine and I don't have to fold the image over. I loved this. Is another one of those fold outs. So then you see the lady and her baby. I didn't want to cut this because I would have cut her head off. You can see that. It would have cut her head off. So I folded it this way and then you get her whole self. So this is one of mine, like I glued on. I saw that it's a wow. And then I just wanted to keep it. So I found somewhere in my journal too that this is another one where I just glued them in. This one I Mod Podged over, it looks like. This is a little, so like this is the edge of some picture that I didn't fold it in equally in half because I wanted to keep the picture. Let's see what's the other. Whatever the other side of that is, I didn't want to lose the other half of that picture. Oh no, that is just a little one. I just wanted to have these edges here so that you can glue like bigger pieces of paper. Like if you had like a book page, let's say this one that you wanted to, you could glue it onto there and then you would have that. And so some of them, like sometimes I like to put a little short piece in there. This one I made this out of, these are not vintage cards. I got these at Five Below and I just thought the pictures were really cool. And then I glued on this picture from I went to the antique store across from my office and some guy just had a big pile of Collector's Digest or something like that, magazines for free. He's just like free. So I was like, all right then. And I took them. And this Shirley Temple image was in one of those. And so I glued her to that. And I liked that popsicle. I actually had this inside here for a while, but it kept flopping out and I didn't like it. These magazines, like this is from an old Life magazine from the 70s. But the funniest thing about those magazines, I don't know, I don't know if it's funny in a good way or not, but is these cigarette commercial or ads. But like, look at those fancy cigarettes. Anyway, I love this roller skates. That's from a book. So anyway, I wanted you to see, this one has a few, where I just found images when I was making this book that I like spoke to me in some way. Like that guy looks so tired and he's just taking a nap on his books. And this is like an out of body. Anyway, so you can start using these images and see, like I just stuck that in that little tuck and start gluing them. You can make little folders with them. This is Octavia Butler is my favorite. And I stuck her in here because I knew I wanted to put her in here, but I haven't found somewhere to put her yet. I'm trying to see if there's no. Oh, here, like I found this little, The Real Thing sticker came on. No, that wasn't a sticker. That was, I think that was from one of those collector's magazines, but I liked it. So I just stuck it onto the back of there. Some of these, the backs don't have so I thought this toilet was hilarious. And, but this isn't anything much. So I can glue something onto that side and not feel like I'm covering anything up. This is why I taped these because see what happened here. This one is coming apart. So I actually am going to have to go in and tape them. This is one of my early ones. I had these little things I wanted to save, so I glued them into here. This lady and her toothpaste was funny to me. The ads in those 50s magazines are so fun. I just stapled this little, or glued, that's glued on there. Yep, glued on this little scrap that I thought was pretty to make a tab there for no particular reason. Here's one of those Spanish flashcards. This was a postcard I got when I went with my daughters and my dad and my brother to Mexico. So that's what I have in that little folder. I made this little envelope that I wanted to put somewhere, so I glued it onto like just the boring writing side of that. This cracked me up. I found this little thing that says, "Hello, my name is Brad and I want to be your friend." It was in a more modern magazine, but it cracked me up, and then I just attached them to that sun. There's that whole cigarette ad. Like, have you ever? There's some, that's like another one of those book, like the front of the book pages. Dude and his pig. I like funny things, like things that make me laugh a little bit, always tickle me. I really liked this picture that was left over from putting together those fairy tale pages. I had one image left, which was I didn't want to fold it in half because I would lose it. So I just glued it into my book. I don't even know where I got that, but I liked it. Grow a little every day. And I put that in there. And this was a piece of coffee dye, like my first batch ever of, oh no, that wasn't coffee dye. That was avocado dyed. I still need to worry. That was the first batch that I ever did of any kind of dyed paper. And avocado dye is supposed to be like a really pretty pinky purple. I think I used too much water because it turned out kind of gray, but it was still my first. So I put it in there. And then I just glued this lady onto the back because I thought she looked good there. And then this is a tougher cover because what it is a book cover. And then I folded, did I fold it? Sometimes what I do, yeah, I didn't on this one, but sometimes what I do is fold the ends over on themselves. I didn't want to fold her face. I think that's why I didn't on this one. But, oh no, I did. You can see, this was the flap here. And then I painted on where the words were for like what this book is about. But I folded it over and glued it on itself so that it's like super sturdy. So I'm not worried about the stitching there. Although in the future, I probably will always use some book tape there just to be safe. But that's that. I'm just going to hold on one second. Let's see if I can find this other. Where is it? I'm really upset that I didn't. All of my preparations and I didn't get. Oh, there's that other book though. I can show you that. I didn't get my main junk journal out for you, and now I'm gonna have to dig it out. I'm like in the middle of doing some reorganization and I don't know where anything is. So I'm not gonna be able to show it to you. But this is the other one. So it's wings. So there's 6 of those. And then 6 of these envelopes full of ephemera. And then everybody also gets one of those embellished, like this kind of paper clip with a bead on it to like mark your page or whatever. Cute, right? So that's it, you guys, I think. Oh, Leilani's here. I'm sorry. I had a really hard time. Aw, Terry. Hi. I don't even know if you're still here. Do you paint the dye on or dunk the paper under the water? So when I was eco dyeing, Leilani, like for coffee dyeing, what I did was put it in a spray bottle, and I don't like how it's turning out because it looks, it just doesn't, like, let me show you more. It doesn't look like someone spilled coffee on it. It looks like the whole page is dyed with coffee. And then these I baked. So they're like, can you hear how crispy that is? I like the sound, but it's so delicate. So laying them out to dry is definitely better. This looks cool, but it doesn't look like paper that just aged to me. It looks like paper that got dunked in coffee. And sometimes when I see them like that other people have done, they have like splotchiness to them. This one does a tiny bit because I laid some string on there, but it doesn't have like splotchy coffee. And I don't know what I'm doing wrong with those. The colorful ones, I didn't want to look, I was okay with them looking like I dyed them, like the whole thing, because I just think that looks really cool. The coffee dyed ones, though, I'm still trying to get the hang of. But what I did with the so the berries, I tried putting the dye, or the the water that was left after I strained out the blueberries and the blackberries into spray bottles, and I couldn't get them drained well enough or strained well enough for the, it kept clogging up the spray bottle. So I just poured it into a pan and dipped the paper in. And I didn't let it soak. I tried, and it didn't really make a difference. What does sometimes, though, if you don't get paper that's bright enough, is doing a double dip. So dipping it once and then letting it sit for a minute, or even using like paper towel to soak up the rest, or those coffee filters, right? So then you end up with like this, like coffee filters that are dyed, and they're super cool. And they're so cheap to buy. You can get like a bazillion of them for nothing, like at the dollar store. But so I soak up some of the water, and then you can re-dip it and it will be a little brighter. And then I also sometimes, like, so this one, what I did was I dyed this one in blackberry, and then I put my lace mat over it, and then I spooned on some blueberry so that the blueberry would go in and make the lacy dye. And I thought that turned out really cool. But when you put this over something with a pattern, it affects the way the pattern looks. And you can spoon on either, it doesn't have to be a different color, of course. You can spoon on more, like if you just want it to be in spots, which I might try with my coffee dye, because I'm just not getting the results with that I'm still working at it. But I have not tried painting it on, and that might be kind of cool. I don't know. I think I did. Priscilla said she hoped I included the stories in my Etsy shop, and I did, but I really wanted to come on and just tell them to you guys. I think this has been going on a really long time, and everybody's probably, oh, wait. Oh, and what do I set them on to dry? I like to use paper towels, although admittedly that's not super ecologically friendly. However, it does dye the paper towels, and you could also use those to do something with collage or something, because it makes the paper towels soak up the water, the color so well, and they're gorgeous. They look like tie-dye. They're so pretty. I don't have any right here, but you could totally use those for but I like to use paper towels because they have a pattern on them, and they and the paper picks up the pattern. I don't know if I have one right. If I can find one quick, I will show you. But they pick up the pattern of the paper towel. So like, I don't know if you can see, this is like the pattern from the paper towel. This one picked up. This one actually even got embossed a little bit with the paper towel. So I have been using paper towels. You could also just use a regular towel, or you could just put them like on racks, like baking racks, and it will give you lines if you do that, even if you don't bake them. Let's see if I can find one of those. Oh, like this one, I actually dried it in the oven, but I turned it and it ended up doing like a grid. Isn't that cool? So this is like the lines of, this was actually, I just put this right on my oven rack inside my oven. Some of them I have dried just on top of my stove when it's cool, because I have a gas oven, and so it's like lifted up. Now that it's warmer, I probably will try. I've seen people hang them like on lines outside. I haven't tried it. I'm a little worried until I do try it about using wooden paper clips on, or wooden clothes clips on paper that it would, tear the paper, wet paper. So I'm not sure about that, but I've seen that. I've heard it. I haven't seen it though. I will say that the paper that is, where is my, well, I don't know where it is now, but the paper that I don't put in the oven, I really like how it turns out better. It's not as dry, so it's not as fragile, and it's straighter. this was super fun though. And you could literally make dye for paper out of almost anything in your fridge. Like um, I have dyed with yellow onion skins, red onion skins. A red cabbage it's super cool. Like I said earlier, but in case you weren't here, cabbage is actually how you can make litmus paper. So it reacts really strongly to acid and base. So if you put it, red cabbage will make like a deep purpley red dye. But if you add vinegar, it reacts to the acid and it becomes like a Kool-Aid, like grapey purple, like bright purple. And then if you add baking soda to that, if you add enough baking soda to counteract the acid, it becomes base. And all of a sudden, the whole thing just turns this like electric blue. It dyes. This is cabbage dyed with that base cabbage. So I had added baking soda to it, and it doesn't dye that electric blue, but it makes this like super pretty turquoise that I really like. So I've had, in like this one, I don't know, it's greener. This is the same cabbage. So cabbage is so sensitive. I got a hole in that one. Sensitive to the acid level or base level, that it like it dyed copy paper cardstock a different color than it dyed like a file folder. See, can you see that that's a different color? And I find that, I don't know, fascinating. And it was a lot of fun to do with my daughter. See, the regular copy paper, like 20-pound copy paper, also turned out greener. So I don't know what made it, why, if that means it's acidy or not, but cabbage, for whatever reason, reacts so well to the different things that you never know what you're going to get with cabbage. You can also do, I have a goal of trying, my next thing I want to try is carrots, because when I got that paper from Rosemary, it had like the most gorgeous, the most beautiful orange, like a dark, deep orange. And I'm like, how did she do that? And I asked her on her live stream last night, and she wouldn't tell me. She's like, that's my secret. So I was like, all right. And then her friend who helps her was like, but if you eat too many carrots, your skin turns orange. And I was like, all right, it must be carrots. So I think I'm going to try like grated carrots, because that'll be a lot of surfaces for the pigment to come out. Yeah, these are my favorite though. I think these just turned out so pretty. Like, isn't that delicate and like springy? I don't know. Who knows what I'm going to do with these? I'm going to end up with a million trillion journals. Maybe I'll put some of this dyed paper in my Etsy shop too, so you guys could see. Because once you see it, then you'll see what I'm talking about. I think it's one of those things you need to get your hands on some. And when you do, then you're like, oh yeah, I can see it. Because I don't know if you can see, like right here is where I had an orange peel. And I can see where it made like an orange. It didn't do like a bright orange, but I can see that it left like some orange coloring on this page. And then the flowers just came out like total imprints of themselves. These were daffodils, but they didn't have much pigment left in them. So they were almost completely white. So they're like a shadow, which turned out really cool. Right? They really turned out pretty. Look at this one, Leilani. Isn't that cool? That's like little purple flowers. They might even be weeds. They're like everywhere on my grass out front, and I need to go pick them before my landscaper dude gets here and mows it. I don't want him to mow my little blue flowers down, because I'm going to make some more of this, because those like imprinted perfect. This paper was the first time I had been using alum, which I bought like a pound thing of it for maybe $10 on Amazon. It was the most expensive thing I did for this, because I used copy paper this is cardstock from Amazon, and it was cheap, like $5 for 100 pages. And file folders I already had. I get the sketch pads at the thrift store. Whenever I see one there, I buy it. And so those were, cheap, like almost nothing. And but I bought alum because I thought, well, I think I need alum because it's a mordant, which means it makes the dye stick. And I didn't want to, and I also bought the flowers, but I went to Aldi's and they were cheap. Like you can get a nice bunch of flowers at Aldi's for $4. And I have I live in Pennsylvania now. If Cindy's still here, she's in Nevada, like I used to be. And, my brain wasn't ready for how much stuff grows here. I mean, it's just everywhere. I definitely all spring will not, and summer will not. And even in the fall, I think it's going to be really fun to play with the changing leaves. I live somewhere where the leaf change is pretty spectacular, and I have a maple tree in my yard, so that should be fun. I also have a cherry tree, so I'm excited to try the cherries. But I thought these turned out really pretty, but I also, the first batch I made, I don't know if you saw them, Leilani, but look at these. This was red roses from Aldi's, and then I just smashed blueberries onto the page. And that's like, there's some of those little purple flowers again. I swear they come up, and that's what makes me think they might be weeds, but they're beautiful little purple flowers. But aren't those beautiful? They're like, I don't know, look at that. They make me think of like marbled. They're almost marbled or something. I don't know, but I was the whole time I was unwrapping both. This is the second time I've done this Eco Dyed. Printed. This is printed. The plain ones that are just one color like this is Eco Dyed, and these are Eco printed. But when you're unwrapping them, because you tie it all together, like you would get this whole bundle and there'd be flowers between and leaves between each thing, and then you tie it, and then you boil it forever, like an hour, about 45 minutes, but it feels like forever. And then you got to let it cool, and then finally you get to open it, and you have to rub off all the flowers, which is really weird, but they smell just like overcooked asparagus, which is odd. Especially the stuff that's thick, like rose stems, when they're cooked, to smell just like overcooked asparagus. But anywho, so then you finally get to see what you made, and you're like, oh my God, it worked. You don't know it worked until it's all the way done. Anyway, well, hi, Bluebell. Thank you. Okay, does anyone have any more questions? I did link to my Etsy store. If you think that you would like to have some Eco Dyed paper, if you leave me a comment, I will make a sample pack. There's no way, I don't have time to make enough to sell regularly, but I can make a little sample pack so that you can see it, so that and it would, then put it in my Etsy store so that you can see it, so you can think about making your own. And I could probably even write up the instructions and like include that in there. But it's a lot of fun. If you have kids, they'll have fun doing it with you. So let me know in the comments if that's something you'd be interested in, and I will work on it. This was a lot of fun. Thank you for hanging out with me. This was my very first ever live stream by myself without Adrian here. And I just had a lot of fun showing you all my stuff. Yeah, Leilani, especially the cabbage paper would make a really good homeschool experiment, because once it's dry, you can cut strips, and it really is litmus paper. So you could dip it into like milk and soda and soup or whatever, anything, put it against anything, and it will tell you if it turns purple, then it's acidic, and if it turns blue, then it's base. So it's like homemade litmus paper, and it's pretty cool. My daughters both informed me that they did that, both of them, in school. I never did in school, so I didn't know, and I didn't know that they had either. I did I show you? I did show you my junk journal. Okay, I think I have shown you like all of the stuff I've been working on. I really highly recommend you go check out the caboodle kits on Rosemary's. They're mildly pricey. I feel really good though about supporting her, because she does a lot of really great content, and she's pretty amazing. I really like her. Sometimes on Wednesday and Thursday, she does these really long live streams, which gave me the idea for doing this one, where she just crafts, like she just makes her, like right now she's making her trash anichi, and you just turn it on and it's like company. And I don't know, I need company these days, I feel like. And I spend so much time thinking about writing that spending some time working on something else, especially something physical, has been really good for my mental health. Winter is tough for me. I have some pretty severe seasonal affective disorder. I've probably always had it, but I've lived in the desert my whole life. So I didn't know that I had it when I lived in the, in Nevada as much. It did not affect me because it was always sunny. It is not sunny in Pennsylvania in the winter. And so making things, tangible, physical things has really been helpful to me for that. Thank you, Priscilla. If you and your daughter make some eco printed or dyed paper, I would really love to see, or at least know, because I've been doing this with Ruby, and she's older than your daughter, but I feel like she's on the edge of like being too old to want to. She's 16, so on the edge of wanting to do mom crafts with me. I feel like your daughter, isn't she like 6 or 7, right? She's pretty little. And I feel like she would just be exactly the right age to really love doing this, because the reveal is so shockingly awesome. What else do we have going on today? Friday's my day off, which is why I have so much time to just sit here and talk to you about making junk journals. God, I'm super tempted to tell you, like, save your good junk for me, your good trash. Like, if you have really cool wrappings and stuff and you're just going to throw them away, you should put them in a little box for Shanta and then text me, or don't text me, but send me a message. If you're Ninja Writers, you know how to reach me, but Shanta@ninjawriters.org. And like, I will pay the shipping. Like, if you have old books or magazines or trash, I think it would be so cool to get like other people's garbage. I don't know. I know that sounds like so weird, but it was so interesting to me to get these wrappings that this woman sent, like these book covers. And I don't drink beer, so I got a beer thing. And I don't know how long she's been holding on to this. I mean, I guess I do know, because can you see the date on there? 2012. So I guess she just hoards her garbage or has been saving it so she could do this. But I'm excited to see what what her next caboodle kit is. It's like a subscription thing, but you have to go buy it each time. It's not a subscription. These are almost done though. I think I want to paint the envelopes because that's boring. I think I'm going to paint the envelopes. And I also just realized that this one does not have oh, it does. No. Where's the other half of this one? Oh, you see, this one doesn't have the window. It's got the cutout, but nothing in there. So I might take that one out and put a different one in there. These were a lot of fun to put together. And now I'm like on a mission to not, like, my poor husband. I'm like, don't throw away any good trash. And he's like, what? Like, I'm serious. If it looks interesting, don't throw it away. Leilani says she's looking at stuff so differently now, trying to find things for interesting into planner journal, making me want to get them more too. Yeah, there it is. Oh my gosh, I just I had a lot of fun with these. Leilani, we should make. There's a thing. So if you Google or look on YouTube here for something called a Flowish, FLOWISH journal, that's also rosemary. And it's like a journal, but it's not bound. So it's just got maybe ribbon or string tied around it to hold the pieces together, but it's not bound, because what it is like I would collect a bunch of magazine pages and book pages and actual junk, I guess. I mean, this is called junk journaling. So this is like a return to junk journaling. So I might collect stuff like this and then just bind it exactly like this with just some elastic or something around the middle. And then I would send you one and you would send me one. And then we would have each other's trash to journal with. How fun would that be? I would do an exchange with you with swap. It's called a swap. That's the language. With you, Leilani. I would love to get some of your trash. I think This was so much fun. I can't believe you guys just hung out with me for this long while I talked away and had no idea whether anyone was here. So thank you for not getting too bored. Please try doing this eco printing or dyeing though, because it is the most fun. For this blueberries, this is my favorite, the blueberries, and the blackberries worked out really well too. All I did was I boiled, it's like 1-to-1 ratio fruit to berries to water. So it's tempting to put more water in, but if it's too watery, it will not dye your paper. See, these had too much water. It didn't dye nearly as well as, say, some of these other ones that got much darker because I had less water. So anyway, and then you just boil it for about an hour. And you'll see it's so weird because the berries will lose their color because it's being leached out into the water. So the pigment is leaving the berries and going into the water, and you're left with these really pale berries, which is really interesting. And then you just strain it. I strain it through a metal like sieve type strainer, the kind you like put over a pot or something. And then I do back and forth through 2 different, like, I use Pyrex, like, measuring cups because they have a spout and I'm kind of clumsy. So I just go back and forth through the strainer a few times. I guess if you maybe did it through a coffee filter, you'd be able to get the little bits out, but I couldn't get enough out to put it through a spray bottle, but I think that's okay. I just poured it into a baking pan that I have that I got at the thrift store that's just for dyeing. And then I just take the card and like dip it through the thing and drain it off and then put it on a paper towel to dry. These lighter ones, they did not, I only dyed them once. And why it's not because there was too much water. They're a little lighter because I used paper towels too soon and got too much of the juice off of them. And so they are a little, these I could have double dyed and then they would have been a lot brighter. And then these got some coffee on them, which I think ended up kind of cool looking like this. And then that's all you do. If you're impatient, you can dry them don't make my mistake where I burned a bunch of my early ones. Cause I just like, okay. And I put it on 350, like I cook everything at, and it burned some of my paper, like the edges got too crispy. If you really want to dry them in the oven, do it at 225, real low oven. It takes some time, maybe 5 minutes for each little batch of paper you can put in there. I put like cookie cooling racks on top of baking pans. And if I have some that like if I'm very careful and I'm only dyeing with food, right? So blueberry dye, obviously it's just blueberries and water and paper. So I can go ahead and I feel good about drying those on my regular pans if I need to. But I have pans and racks that are just for dye, because if you have cooked something that is not edible, then you're not, or dried something on there that's not edible, you're not going to want to cook food on it again. So I don't know what these blue flowers are, or the little yellow ones. So I would not boil these in a pot that I would also cook like my spaghetti in, because I don't know what I put in there and it could be poisonous. So have supplies that are just, and I got them at this was the weirdest thing. I was driving by. I'd gone in a few times to Goodwill. I only have one little Goodwill in my town. And I had gone by a couple times looking for a big pot and a big turkey pan, like a big roasting pan. And I couldn't find one. And I was I'm going to have to break down and buy one at Walmart and spend the money. And I didn't want to do it. And I was driving by that Goodwill one more time. And don't you know, there was an old man getting out, and he had a big spaghetti pot in one hand and a baking pan in the other hand. And I just watched him go put him in the bin. And then I took him out of the bin and I went in the store and I was going to ask if I could buy them. And I was like ready to fight because sometimes they won't let you, but there was no one there like at the counter or anywhere. So I just put them in my cart, did my shopping, and then I bought them. They just priced them for me right there. And so I got them at the thrift store, and I got cookie sheets and also the racks at the thrift store. But I don't, even though I think that if you're just eco dyeing with food, it's probably okay. I mean, the paper would be the only non-edible thing, and I don't think paper is toxic, but it's kind of risky, I think. So I don't know. I just use my special stuff. However, I do make my food dyes. I make them in my regular pots because I don't have enough extra like food or dyeing only pots right now. And if I'm just doing blueberries and water, there's literally no reason I can think of not to put them in my regular pots because I don't put any, not even alum in that dye. I might experiment with alum. I have seen, Leilani said about brushing, I have seen someone mix some alum with hot water, like just a little hot water enough to, and then brush that on the paper to make it more receptive to the dye. So I might try experimenting with that and seeing how it works. But I really want the dye to stick to these. And so I do use alum. And then this time I experimented with adding some vinegar and salt to the water. And I noticed that the flowers, like it's much less abstract. Like this just really, like compared to this, you can see like it's stuck, obviously, but it's not, you can't pick out like the flowers as well. Here it just looks like the flower just stuck, like printed right onto the paper. It's super cool. Oh, yay, Leilani is going to do a swap with me. Get more junk. Let me know. I see you all the time. So just let me know when you're ready. I'm going to start putting together a flowish journal for you, Leilani. I'm so super excited. I also feel like, I don't know, like I want to get some people like from other countries and stuff to send me some of their, even just like book pages that are in different languages and stuff would be super cool. Anyway, I have a lot of fun with these bookbinding journal making things. And I figure it's writing adjacent, right? I actually write in them. I swear, without getting up and like abandoning you guys, I can't find the one, but I have one. I actually got this hard cup. Do you see that one that's that book that we cut? Do you see it like in any of these? Just handy. If you do, will you hand it to me?
What does it look like?
It looks like that book that we cut down. No, the book, the one with the lion. Anyway, Kev's gonna go look for it for me. Anyway, it's just I found this vintage literature textbook, but from like the 20s, and I cut it down to be, it was humongous. I cut it down to an A5 size. That's this size. This is A5. So it's roughly half of a sheet of paper. And this is B6. It's smaller. So you can, I don't know if you can, I don't even know how I can make you see that. He can't find it either. It's in here somewhere. This size. And it's got those lions on the front. I can't find it right now. But that one I've done some journaling in. So like you can write in these. Well, this one's got a lot of journaling space, but even like you could write on here with a gel pen, it would show up. You could write around the sun here. I don't know. I have a lot of fun with these. I love these like little pockets. You could write on paper and then tuck it into here. Tuck it into, this is like a glassine bag. I love how it sounds. So you could do, oh, look at this. This is the bottom of that flower bag that I used here. And I don't know where I'm going to put it yet, but I'm like going to glue it on. And when you glue it on, then you can like open it and put something in there. Isn't that adorable? Like, look. wall. It opens up. So I have saved that. I just need to figure out where I want to stick it in here. Oh, can't think of anything else. Yeah, I definitely think that these journal making for me is, and also it's like meditative, you know, like I'm just like going through the pages, or I'm processing the books, or I'm sewing, and my brain has some time to like reflect on my book, where I'm not trying to push it to come up with the solutions or a story or a plot point or whatever. Like it gives my brain something else to do, and it lets the writer part of my brain like loose, if that makes sense. It like unlocks it a little bit, and that is helpful. I have found it very, very helpful. Okay, guys, this has been a 2-hour video. So I'm going to go and hang out with my family for the rest of my day off. And I will see you guys. If you want to come at 10 a.m. tomorrow Eastern, we're going to have a little 10-minute writing sprint. I promise it really is 10 minutes. And then a couple minutes of saying hello and then telling each other how many words we wrote. Not a 2-hour writing sprint. We have those in Ninja Writers, though. Anyway, have a great day, everybody. Thank you for hanging out with me today. Bye.